In this video, we'll walk you through all the steps required to assemble your new Love Meter kit. You can start by referencing your assembly sheet and bill of materials, and then highlight the components with the same values so you can easily tell where they will be placed. Please note that R4 will not be placed in this assembly. We'll start populating the board with the resistors. I always like to prepare the resistors by bending over the terminals and then giving them a squeeze from the side with a pair of pliers. Our first 10K resistors should fit in easily after this preparation. To solder, remember these four things: clean the tip, tin the tip, heat the joint, and then apply solder. To clean the tip, wipe it across the sponge so that the excess solder and oxides wipe off. To tin the tip, apply a small amount of solder to the tip of the iron. To heat the joint, make sure the iron is touching both the pad and the lead at the junction. Don't try to apply it to just one surface or the other. It's important that heat flows between both pieces of metal. Finally, to solder the joint, apply a very small amount of solder to either part. A successful solder joint will have the solder wick and connect both the pad and the lead.
Now that the resistors, the 10K resistors, have been installed, we actually have quite a few leads poking out the back. So we're going to go ahead and pop these off. I like to use a pair of sharp wire snips, and then basically what I do is I bring it down about as close as I can get it, and then I just pop these little leads off. So according to our schematic, R2, R3, R5, and R6 are our 100K ohm resistors. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get our 100K ohm stack, and we will prepare our resistors for being positioned in the board. Now that we've finished our 100K ohm resistors, we're going to go ahead and continue on with our 1 mega ohm. With the 1 mega ohm resistor complete, we're ready to continue on to our set of 8 1K ohm resistors. And these will all be in a line right here next to the LEDs. You have a helping hand tool. You can solder from the top instead of from the bottom. Now we're going to go ahead and prepare for the voltage regulator. But to do that, we're actually going to need this 3-pin header first. Now that the header is ready, we'll go ahead and attach the 5-volt regulator. What you can do is open this little guy up and then grab the edge of the board, and it'll hold it square. Now we need to apply the P-dip package IC sockets. So we'll go ahead and grab those quick. There's a little notch in the end. Make sure that lines up with the silk screen. Sometimes the pins may be a little bit bent. That's not a problem, just bend them out. Now let's go ahead and put on the multi-layer ceramic capacitor. We'll put that through C1. Now it's time for the polarized capacitor. We want to make sure that we get this the correct direction. So remember that the positive lead is longer than the negative lead. And it's also denoted by this little white band right here. That's the negative side, and the plus means positive. Oops. If you get too much solder, you can usually take it off by getting the tip wet, cleaning it off a little bit, and then trying to pick that solder up with a little bit more actually. You can sometimes pull it out. If that doesn't work, sometimes you can blow it. Now it's time to attach the trim pot. So this is a adjustment knob. You can use this to change the sensitivity. Finally, we need to attach the switch. It doesn't matter which direction it goes, just put it in. Now we can continue on with the LEDs. You should receive a package of LEDs with the colors denoted either by an initial or by the letter spelled out. B is for blue, G is for green, Y is for yellow, O is for orange, R is for red, PR is for purple, PK is for pink or related initials, and W is for white. Now you can choose whatever order you would like for this device to run, but our recommendation is that you start with blue and you end with white. And if you notice here, the LEDs are numbered. That means that at D1 we would put B, at D2 we would put the green LED, and so on all the way to the white. So let's go ahead and start with blue. We'll take it out, and then the polarity of these is also important. So if you look on the LED, it may have a little flat side, and that's the side that goes up here. But a better indication is which lead is longer. So the longer lead is positive, and on these boards, the positive side is the one that's on the bottom. The shorter lead has to go towards the top, and the longer lead goes towards the bottom of the board. If you want to save time, another trick you can use is just insert all the LEDs in the correct order. Take the tape, take a piece of tape, and then wrap it across the top. And just make sure all those LEDs are pushed down, and then you can go ahead and solder from the back. Another trick that you can use while soldering these LEDs is only solder the first lead on them all. So if they're not quite flat on the back side, you can just take each LED and get it positioned so that you don't burn yourself. And you can come in with the iron and touch that lead right there and push it in. Oops, not quite. There we go. Before we can attach the AAA battery holder, we're going to have to prepare some foam double-sided tape to make sure this thing sticks in and doesn't come out. So to do that, make sure it's a nice flush fit, we'll kind of position it about as wide as it needs to be. finish the battery holder. Go ahead and turn it over. Now we're ready to insert the ICs. So first, we'll take the LM324 in. Sometimes it doesn't quite want to go, but make sure that notch is lined up with your other notches. Just make sure that you touch something metal beforehand to discharge any static electricity, because static electricity is going to ruin these things. Notice I'm working on an electrostatic mat. That just helps reduce the chance that one of these chips gets shocked. And here we're taking the 74HC595. We're going to go ahead and plug it in. Correct direction. Just make sure that little notch is lined up with all the other notches. And push it in. On this chip, we're going to have one little tiny dot. I don't know if you can see it. Let's try and refocus on this, but basically there's a little dot. And you will want to align this dot with the slotted edge down here. Just make sure this is in the correct orientation before you insert. Okay, this is about what it should look like. And there you have it. Now all you need is a pair of AAAs in the back. And you should be ready to go. Notice this is your on-off switch. So whenever it starts up, all the LEDs will light up and then it'll quickly decay back to zero. Now you can test to see how much you love yourself by squishing on both of those ends. Now if you need to adjust the sensitivity, you can turn this knob. Turning it clockwise is less sensitive, I believe, and counterclockwise should be more sensitive. Most of the kits should be okay without adjusting that knob. So if it does get adjusted, you may want to line it horizontally to reset it. The kit should detect various conductivities through your skin. So depending on what mood you're in and how sweaty your hands are will change the conductivity. Enjoy playing with this, and if you need to cheat, you can actually get a wire and attach it between here and here. If that wire is attached, you're almost certain to be in love. Thanks for watching, and I hope that your kit comes out successfully.